ever done Zoom and not hit the record button?
Yeah, in fact, I did it earlier today.
It's awful sauce because you can't go back and rewind. So what
Right.
we're going to do is we're going to go full throttle here on the edge with my guest, Jamie Celeste Peer. Jamie is awesome sauce. I want to thank you for your service. She just retired, Brains, from the Army. Army officer, female Army officer. We're going to talk to her about that. We're going to talk about diversity and inclusion because she's seen it from every aspect. You know, being a woman in a high profile position, and now the military has changed so much with the open equality of gender equality and a lot more women being in the, the armed forces and holding high ranking positions. We're going to talk about her being a mama and what the heck is going on in Nebraska, of all places. But that's where she landed. And so now she is spreading her wings, and she's going to be a coach, and she is an author. I'm so excited to have her here. Brains, welcome our guest, Jamie Celeste Peer. How are you?
I'm doing great, April, and I'm really excited to be on your show. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We have built such a friendship and such a camaraderie. You know, both of us are military families. My husband retired from the United States Navy, and my son is in the Navy right now. To be a military person in the military, or to be a spouse, a supporting spouse, is no joke. A lot of separation, a lot of, just a whole bunch of stuff. And now we don't even know with this leadership what's going on, if they're supposed to fight, they're not supposed to fight, they're coming home, they're not coming home. What are some of the things that you saw as you were transitioning out of the Army?
As I was transitioning out, what I learned and what is interesting, because I was a human resource officer in the Army, and I helped dozens, maybe hundreds of soldiers go through the retirement process from a paperwork standpoint, initiating that initial request, making sure that they got their last days of leave before they left the Army, making sure that their pay and everything was, all straight before they left. But I never actually went through that process myself until I retired. And so you think, oh, I should know everything there is about this. And, but it is a daunting prospect to leave something you've known for 20, 30 years, sometimes more. And you really only go through that process once. And as I got closer to going through it, I thought, oh gosh, this is scary, right? But what I discovered is there are professionals who handle this stuff every single day in the military. Mm-hmm. And they just made that process as, simple and enjoyable as it could be. And every step of the way, I was being thanked for my service. And, it was just a really nice way to end such an important part of my life. And what I learned is there's just amazing people that support the military every single day, even in a civilian role. Right. And it was great to be a part of such an awesome team.
How long were you in the Army?
So I enlisted in October of 1996, and I retired October of this year. So 23 years I wore the uniform. 3 of those years I took a break from being enlisted as I became an officer. I was in the Reserve Officer Training Corps. I went to Kansas State University, got my degree, got my commission, and then came back in the military as an officer. Okay. And so in total, for retirement purposes, I've completed 20 years of service, but I've been doing the Army thing for 23 years.
Right. Stand at attention, saluting, marching.
Roger that.
But, it's different. Now, you're an officer, okay? Yeah. And, I'm sure that there's additional benefits to being an officer. But you think about the separation of the regular enlisted. They don't understand how to convert their resume into regular conversation that us civilians understand. It's a lot of jargon, their military benefits, what percentage of disability they have, if they have a spouse, is there going to be benefits for them? So there's a lot. So we really value the people in human resources when it comes to tapping us out of the military. So now look at you. You are living your dream.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that. You said that you wanted to be a wife and mother. Well, good luck with that. about 2 or 3 years of that, you might want to re-enlist. No, but seriously. So what are you looking forward to now that you're retired? How has that changed your life?
So, yes, as we've talked about, even in just the short amount of time that it's been since I began this final transition out of the military, I had quite a bit of leave this summer that I had accrued, and I needed to use it up before I retired. And so I got to do a lot more vacation time with my family. In one of my biggest dreams, as simple as it sounds, but for a working mother who has missed many a first day of school for my kids, I actually got to walk my first grader to school this year. And as I was walking her to school, I thought, I am actually living my dream. Like people get these great awards and accomplishments, an Emmy or a Grammy, and they have to pinch themselves. I was walking my daughter to school and felt like I needed to pinch myself. And I think that is what all these years have taught me, is just to appreciate the small things, the little bits of time that we get to really just savor the moment with our family. It doesn't have to be a big trip to Disney. It can literally be walking my kid to school.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And a big trip to Disney is not sloppy seconds. Okay. Ask my daughter, the one that went 32 times. Who goes to Disneyland 32 times in 1 year? My daughter. She loves.
And we've done those trips too, but it was more of we got to make up for lost time. Let's go big. Right. And now that I have more time, I can just enjoy those simple, moments.
So as a life mastery consultant, you're a certified life mastery. You went to the Institute. And so your goal is to help design and help others manifest a life that is in harmony with their soul purpose. So as a mother and as a woman, what does that shape like? What does that look like?
Well, what's really cool is that no two people's dreams are the same. Right. When somebody says, imagine what your life could be like, for me, I want to have a beautiful home that's open with plenty of natural light, where I can invite friends and family over to have yummy meals and, just spend time together, maybe play games. For somebody else, it might be, I've always wanted to be an actor in Hollywood, and that's my dream. Or I want to be a deep sea diver in Australia, and that's my dream. So what's really neat for me is every individual that I sit down with, it's literally like a snowflake. Like everybody's different, everybody's unique, and it's just inspiring to hear about what other people envision for their lives. And what's really interesting is, at face value, a lot of us are living a very similar life. Like we get up, we drink coffee, we go to work for a job that has benefits, we drive our car to and from the grocery store, this, that, and the other. We kind of live this, generic life. Now there's people out there doing amazing things and we watch them on TV, right? But we are generally living this normal life. But when I sit down and I talk to people about their dreams, they don't look anything like that life. And so what I'm trying to help people do is live more of that life that they get excited about getting out of bed in the morning for, that gives them energy and, more fulfilling relationships, more time to spend doing amazing things, traveling the world, giving more money because they are, they've designed a life where there's more flow financially and they can give to things that matter to them. So I have helped several people do that already. And it's so exciting to see where they started and then a year later where they are. And to know that I had even a small part of making that happen, it just gives me goosebumps. So that's
Well,
what I want to do the rest of my life.
it's not a few people. You have helped, I'm sure, thousands that have come through human resources, that you have led, that you have mentored, that
Yeah.
you have counseled, all of those things. So because you're in this capacity now, it was great preparation in the military. There was, there's discipline. You can see that. I keep hearing you reiterate time, 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 time. Time is so precious. We're
Yes.
never going to get it back, which time is really an illusion, but that's a whole nother show. But
Okay. I hear you.
we're never going to get that time back. And so what we want to do is we want to cherish it, and we want to nurture it, and we want to be respectful of it, and we want to embrace people in our space. So one thing that you have shared with me that is really going to be on the top of your agenda with working with people is diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a lot of experience with that in the military, because I know when my husband was transitioning out, it was when women were coming aboard and they were cohabitating on the ship, and he was going, oh, it's going to be something going on. He says, it's time for me to go. And now my son is dealing with situations where there is gender fluidity, where people are making the transition, they're going from male to female. And he goes, Mom, how do I discipline, somebody that's, coming to work in booty shorts trying to catch? He says, I don't want to try to come off offensive or anything. He says, but that's just not military code of conduct. How are people bridging the gap we want to talk about sexual inclusion, and then we're going to talk about diversity. We're going to talk about cultural and color diversity next.
Sure. So what I would say in reference to, the conversation that you had with your son is that even in the military, it's a culture of professionalism, right? So, and there are standards.
Absolutely.
So nobody, regardless of your sexual orientation, is going to show up to physical training in booty shorts, right? They're going to wear the military uniform. So that kind of takes care of that. But in terms of how do you handle that? I think you never go wrong with treating people with dignity and respect. I think when people start acting out and, this idea of conflict and having to stand up for themselves, it comes out of this fear that if I don't stand up for myself and I don't make a scene right now, that I'm not going to be taken seriously. But when you just treat people with respect, when you just treat them like a professional, that they came in the military to do a job to the best of their ability, and they are upholding the standard, and they are they're supporting their team and in learning how to be the best soldier that they can be. That's all that we need from people. I don't go to work and talk about my heterosexuality. I don't go to work and I just go to work.
I just go to work.
And I was the best human resource officer that I could be. I saw needs that soldiers had that needed to be met, and I met them. And that's all that was required. So, we fear what we don't know, but kind of onto this big broader topic of diversity, what I have learned through my experience with the military is that people are people. And at the end of the day, we all have the same basic wants, desire, needs, to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel part of something bigger than ourselves, and to be respected for the work that we do on a daily basis. And so I really, that's my broader message, is that we're just people, and you treat people with dignity and respect, and the lights come on and they get fired up.
Now, I hold my guests' feet to the fire here on the edge. Let's keep it 100. Okay. Yes, people are people, but they're not treated like that. They're treated like animals. I'm not saying that. People are looking at your color, they're looking at your age, they're looking at your weight, they're looking at your sex, they're looking at your paycheck, all of those kind of things. Those
Mhm.
are what divides us. And
Right.
a lot of times you will hear individuals say, well, I don't see color. Well, they need to see an optometrist, okay? Because that's or
Yes.
ophthalmologist. That's the first thing. Because I don't want to be treated different because I'm brown. I don't want to be treated special because I'm brown. But I want you to notice the diversity.
Yeah.
I want to notice your diversity. I want to
Mhm.
respect your ethnicity, your culture, your religion. That God didn't make all the flowers in the garden the same color.
Right.
And when people wake up and quit trying to sugarcoat it and try to make everybody seem like they translucent, you can see right through 'em. Right, because that's not what's happening. When we wake up to the fact that we are different, that we look different, we talk different, we smell different, we eat different foods, when we can embrace that, I
Mhm.
think then we're really kind of heading in the right trajectory because so many
Yeah.
people are tricked up. They're not doing it. And I know that you had shared with me, a person, look at you, cute. But you shared with me a personal story that inadvertently, and you thought that you were being politically correct. You used the word colored. That's all you knew, you know.
Mhm.
And so I tell my minority brothers and sisters, it's how you show up. It's how you respond to these situations.
Mhm.
Because you can say a few choice words to me, and after I, read you your rights, it's over and done with. Yeah, but I'm not going to continue to be angry for something that I have absolutely no control over.
Mhm.
Millennials are not talking about that right now. So how
Mhm.
are you going into these corporations and working with individuals to teach them to level up their game so that they look beyond a person's physical characteristics and start looking at their head and their heart?
Right. And so there's two different things that we're talking about. And I want to go back to what you said about, we are different. And you are absolutely right. And so I want to clarify that what I learned about diversity in the military is the differences are very important.
Mhm.
What I learned growing up where I grew up, I got a certain skill set, right? And then somebody else that grows up in an inner city and has those experiences is going to have another skill set. And together, we're going to be a more powerful team because I don't know what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know, but I know what I know and you know what you know. So how can we make that work together? And you're right. I don't ever want to downplay, you know, people's experiences based on their culture, their skin color, their religion, because it does inform who they are. And it helps me to better appreciate those differences. It helps me grow as a person to understand what people come from.
Right, right.
It pulls the wool off my eyes, so to speak, to hear. I had some soldiers that were talking to me. We're in Kansas. I spent a lot of my career in Kansas, and I had some soldiers. I said, "Oh, you should go check out, this zoo in this town." And they were like, "Ma'am, people like me don't go to towns like that." And
Mm,
I just shook my head and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's not a town that would welcome somebody with my skin color." And I was shocked because, typical response of somebody who doesn't know better, like, "What are you talking about?"
mhm.
Um, and then you get to telling stories about, yeah, I went to this one gas station in this one town and they wouldn't let me buy anything. Or I felt very uncomfortable buying gas there because the man came out and watched me because he wanted to make sure I paid. And I have never in my life experienced anything like that. And to think that America's sons and daughters who are committing their lives to their country in service of that gas station owner, in service of, the
Mhm.
people of that town,
Right, right.
you know, it actually broke my heart. And so, but it was important for me to learn that because I can't just make offhanded comments like, you should just go to this gas station. They've got great gas. Well, no.
Well, it's a learning.
So you're right.
It's a learning.
I don't want to, yeah. And I don't want to breeze past that there is beauty in our diversity. There's beauty in our differences. I would hate to think that the whole world becomes a McDonald's culture where, we all dress the same way, we all listen to the same music, we all believe the same things, because how boring would that be? There would be no reason to go travel the world. There would be no reason to go see anything, because it would be exactly what you're used to where you are.
And I mean,
So,
there's different foods, there's different medicines, there's different religions, there's different
yes.
thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important that we recognize brains, not ignore. It's not about everybody assimilating. It's about us acculturating.
Yes.
And things are changing in the world right now. So you have a little first grader, and
Yes.
she's going to school.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that she's saying to you now that she's coming home and you've had a couple weeks to kind of walk her to school and come home and, you're relaxed, dinner's ready, and you're able to do the homework? What are kind of the conversations that you're having with her just about life in general and being, a young girl?
Mm-hmm. Well, so at this age, I think she's still pretty naive to the way things can be, in the quote unquote real world.
At six,
But we,
6 years old, they're smart. We'll have a sidebar conversation on
yeah, yeah. But I mean, as far as what we're talking about and what we're experiencing is more of she's coming to realize, you know, there's good days and there's bad days, and people are going to say things that hurt us, but we don't have to take it personally, and
right.
just know that you're loved and those kinds of things. But one of the things I shared with you with my older girls, as they were raised as military kids, and we did move all over the country, and they
Mhm.
did get to go to military daycares with kids from all different backgrounds, is they've had people of every color love on them and care for them and have real conversations with them, and they have had friends from all different backgrounds. And what I really love is that my older two daughters especially, um, they tend to gravitate to those kids on the margins, the ones that don't necessarily fit in, because in so many cases they've been those kids.
Mhm.
And so different places that we've moved, they've been the friend of the minority
Mhm.
that's in that situation. And they've come to our homes, and we've just loved on them, and they've loved on us. And
And
so that's been really powerful. What I
the thing
you
about
know
the military, though, once you make a family bond with another family, you may not see them for 2 or 3 years and run into them in Japan or wherever. They're always your family. So there is a lot of
yeah,
inclusion there too. And there's a lot
yeah,
of moving around, and there's a lot of adjustment. And that's why I was kind of asking, you know, how your little daughter um, acclimated to that, because there is an adjustment. You're going to a different school, you're
hmm,
different people, the different neighborhoods. And so people just kind of take that for granted, but they don't realize that there's a lot of adjustments there. So now
yeah,
you are adjusting to a new life as a coach.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about how what you're doing with regards to personal coaching, one-on-one, to help people, reach the ultimate, or just kind of figure out who the heck they are and what they want to do with their life. Because there's a lot of people that you're going to be able to help with the military. They have no idea. I taught my husband a bad habit. When he retired from the Navy, I taught him how to call in sick. Bro, he didn't have a clue. No, sick, whatever, you got to show up, you got to show up. I said, baby, let me show you how this is done. Don't give a whole bunch of explanations. You have time on the books? I'm sorry, I'm not coming in today. And then, oh my God. He goes, wow, his eyes got supersized. So,
Yeah, yeah, breaking some rules. It feels weird. Um, so yeah, again, with my coaching, I just to take somebody from what they think they can have to what they really want, and realizing that it is possible for them, is the biggest hurdle that we overcome, and the limiting beliefs that we grow up with. I like to share, like, there's nothing wrong with the way I came up. I'm very thankful for the way I came up, but everybody I knew as a kid was from a working class family. This idea that you get a job that pays the bills and has benefits, hopefully, so that you can maybe save up enough to go, camping with your family for a long weekend in the summer. There's nothing wrong with that. But to be raised that way and think that that's the goal in life, is to find a job that maybe pays $50,000 or $60,000. I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I didn't know how to start my own business. I didn't realize that there are ways to create unlimited income in your life and still be the kind of person you want to be.
Right.
To still be a good person and have a lot of money to do those things. So when I talk about limiting beliefs, they're not bad necessarily, but they do kind of put a cap on your potential. And so I really want to help people realize that there's a cap and that we can together, take that lid off life.
Right.
And kind of back to limiting beliefs about other people. I had limiting beliefs about rich people. I shared that. I also had limiting beliefs about people from different backgrounds. We talked about, I want to write a book, and I've started the book. And in the beginning, I'm just talking about some of these formative experiences I had around race growing up in a town that was about 98% white.
Yikes.
I remember we were going to play a team that was another team from a city that was only 35 minutes away from where I grew up. And I walk into this gym as a 7th grader, and it's full for a 7th grade basketball game. And I didn't see a white person in the stands, not a single white person in the stands. And they're cheering for their team, and it's loud. And one of the things that my coach told the team before we got off the bus is, don't go anywhere in the school by yourself. Don't go to the drinking fountain by yourself. Don't go to the bathrooms by yourself. And she didn't necessarily say anything racist, but it definitely put some fear in me. And then you walk into this gym, and it's full of hooting and hollering, and everybody's a different color that's not your color. And it was shocking to me. And so that was a formative experience. It's like, okay, so when I go into a place where there's a lot of people that aren't like me, I need to be fearful. Or at least that's how I felt as a 7th grader.
Right.
And so joining the military, and this is the first time I've really left my hometown. And now I've got people from all over the country, all over different kinds of backgrounds. The first time I saw my first, 2 lesbians, not that they were just holding hands and being affectionate, but that first time I saw that was in basic training. The first time I started to make a friend that was African American. And then I shared with you, I made the comment in the bathroom, we call them latrines, but we were in the restroom getting ready in the morning, and she was using a hair product. And I just said, oh, is that something that colored people use in their hair? Not realizing from where I was from in Michigan, I didn't realize that was a derogatory term to where she was from in the South. And so that affected our ability to have a relationship moving forward. And you and I talked about how that could have been a teaching moment, but we were kids. I was 19. She might have been 18, right?
And again, the word, there's words have power as long as you come in with the big N.
Yeah, right. But I heard that word. I heard that word growing up. And if I didn't, find out before I joined.
That was your norm. That was your norm. And that's what I'm talking about, how we show up. How we respond. I would have said, girl, we color. All the colors of these flowers. I'm brown, black. But as a society, that is the trigger. That is it. Look at the news right now, and what they're doing, they're trying to do this ethnic cleansing, and they're still trying to separate by color and race. Is such a waste of time, because kids are not doing that. They don't care nothing about that anymore. They're talking about the planet. They're talking about clean water. They're talking about gun control. They're talking about what's going on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. They are not talking about folks' color. Okay, so grown-ups, we need to start acting like grown-ups. and how you show up. Don't let that be your trigger. Let that be a teachable moment for you. So you're going to write this book.
Mhm.
And inside this book, are you going to talk about your experiences in the military, your experiences in life? What's going to be in the pages of your book? I'm excited.
So what I've already started is kind of laying out those formative experiences just so that somebody who, doesn't know me can understand why I came in the way that I did into the military. And then I'm going to talk about my experiences with working alongside of people from all different backgrounds, all different parts of the country. And that, like I said earlier, I just learned at the end of the day, they're just good human beings, and we are human beings. And it is beautiful that we have different tones and different dialects and different, backgrounds and things like that. But it's all part of a larger um, idea that when we bring all of that together, it really is it's a beautiful thing. And, using the word beautiful in the military, but when you bring, let me just get really like hardcore for a second. I couldn't conquer ISIS by myself, right? A human resource person couldn't do that.
Mhm.
But when I become part of a larger team and I become an enabler to those soldiers who are out on the front lines doing their job, I'm making sure they're paid straight. I'm making sure their families are taken care of. I'm making sure that any paperwork stuff that they needed to get done was done so that they could focus on the mission. Now I am part of something bigger than myself.
Right.
And together, we did amazing things. And so that's what I want for America, is that we start to understand there's nothing to gain, and we are not served by hunkering down in these pockets of people just like us, and thinking that, these other pockets of people that are different than us need to go away, because when they go away, our the things that we can accomplish together diminish.
Right.
When we learn to bring all of that experience, all of that, beauty together, that's when we can really make things thrive in this country. And so
You,
that's
you just
that's my biggest
you said
part.
something that kind of touched my heart, because this is not just an American problem. This is universal. You will go again, other countries, they're fighting over the same thing. Either you're rich or you're poor. You're light or you're dark. You got food or you don't have food. This is a universal problem.
Yeah, it's global for
Global,
sure.
we're just under the spotlight all the time because that just seems like, that's our trigger. But it is really, it's global and it's sad. And I'm just hoping that anybody and everybody that's listening to this, which we've got 44,038 countries, that you are paying attention to what me and Jamie are saying, because, we're not just talking about this for shit and giggles. We are really trying to make an impact. We're trying to bring the level of awareness, some synchronicity, so that we can go on and do other beautiful things like get to Mars.
Mhm.
Or save the planet, save the whales, all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
let's stop having this mindless, useless conversation on somebody's color, and really try to, bring that person in, learn what they learn. Like Jamie said, you don't know what you don't know. Well, I have learned so much from you, and I think that you are a beautiful soul. Is there anything or any inspiration that you would like to leave with our brains?
Just yeah, sometimes it feels fearful to put yourself out there and to put yourself in groups that aren't like you. And I would just really encourage um, you to step outside of that comfort zone, because that's where the real growth occurs. And that's what, as each individual on this planet grows and stretches themselves, the ripple effect of that is that we will continue to grow as a human race. And
Yes.
ultimately, that's what we need. This whole planet is one giant system. I watched this really cool documentary on Netflix about how every part of the globe affects another part of the globe. Things that go on in Africa and come across the ocean affect South America, as far as the weather and, waterfall and all these kinds of things. And really, it's the same thing with humanity. When one person suffers and lacks, it creates a desperation in them that will ultimately affect the rich. And so for the rich to ignore the plight of the poor is, it's to their own detriment to do that. We do need to help elevate our neighbor. We do need to take care of each other. And that's a big part of my life coaching, is just getting people to raise their level of awareness on who they were designed to be in this world, so that they can use those gifts to make the world a better place. But you do that one person at a time, one relationship at a time, one conversation at a time. And it requires humility, and it requires listening. Instead of thinking about what you want to say, you're actually hearing what the other person's saying. And it's admitting that you don't always know everything. So
And
that's what I would like to share.
you got to start playing small, brains. I want you to dream the impossible dream, okay?
Yeah.
I want you just to go way out. I mean, way, way out. You would be surprised, because we only, it's like our subconscious mind. There's 95% floating around that people have no idea of even who they're in touch with. They don't know. So explore that. Be open to it. Get excited about it. Get excited about knowing someone different, or tasting a different food, or learning a different language, or, I'm telling you, there's so much in the world that we deprive ourselves of by being ignorant. And ignorant only means not knowing. But we want to know all about you. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Jamie.
All right. Well, if you want to get in contact with me, I have a Facebook page. My business is called Expansive
See?
Life Solutions. And that's SOUL Solutions. I'm on Facebook. You can reach me at my email of Jamie, JAMIE, C as in cat, Peer, PEER 497 at gmail.com. And I'd love to connect with you and see what we can do. I do free strategy sessions, which takes about 90 minutes just to see what your dream life could look like. And those are free. And after we're done with that, we can see if maybe we're a good client coach mix.
And it's all about the mix. That's what it's about. And thank you so much for being here on the edge with me. I've learned a lot from you. I'm glad that you're open to new experiences. I'm open to new experiences. I love people. I love diversity. I love culture. I'm glad that you dedicated your life 20 years being in the military. That is not for chumps. Okay. And now you are home to be able to walk your daughter to school. God sure enough is good, isn't he?
Yes, thank you very much, April. And it's been a pleasure, and I hope that we stay in contact, because you're a pretty cool chick.
I gotta figure. I talk to everybody all over the world. I got so many places. So Nebraska's on my list. Me and Mr. Magnificent. Once he gets rid of this next job, we are going to a Winnebago, and we want to see all 50 states. And one of them's Nebraska. I'm gonna come and see you. Seeing now that you're stationary, you're out of the military. Maybe you'll be there for a while. So thank you so much, Brains. Go back. I tell you all the time, I am going to set this interview up on one of these watch lists. I just figured out how they worked on Facebook. So you watch one after another, and they keep repeating. And this is worth repeating. We have an audio version. We have a video version. Go and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Mixcloud, iTunes, all over the world. Okay, we are there for you. Thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate you and I value you. And come on back to the edge anytime you want, especially when you got that book, because I want to see what's going on and I want to help you sell it.
Awesome. Thank you, April.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Good day, guys.